Hello everyone, it's Sandra and we are looking in on Eat My Shorts. Last time I was in here I was noticing the pill bugs were starting up again, and there's one right there. Because of that, I am thinking I might follow the old adage, if you can't beat them, join them, and feed these little pill bugs something, put them to use. According to Bentley Christie, bin critters are needed to break down larger carbon elements like leaves and leaf stems. There's another pill bug, could be the same one, dropped off the paper. And so if my check-in goes well here, I am going to feed these this bin some leaves as the carbon. So if you remember, we did a half bin harvest before Christmas on this bin. And so by only taking out half the castings, you can see that this bin, starting to look like, wow, look at the castings building up again. Well, the castings never went away. Like half of them were always still here. So I like that about doing a half bin harvest, is you never get that shiny new bin look. You always sort of go, wow, I'm close to harvest, because you are. You can pull out half this end that I am not feeding in. And, this is siftable. The moisture is such that it's siftable. I'm not going to harvest because, as you can see, there's still a lot of shredded cardboard carbon in here. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to turn over the last feeding zone, assess where it's at, and I'm only going to keep the leaves in this feeding zone area, because if I mix leaves into this material, then I will be a longer way off from a harvest. So let's just go under the waistband here, which again is just a moisture regulator for this bin, seeing whether or not this bin needs a feeding. You can see lots of castings in the old feeding area. Still have worm activity in those avocados. If you put this avocado on your counter and cut it in half like this, it would be brown within minutes. But you see, the worms are constantly skimming off the microbes that deteriorate the avocado. So that's why I think avocados don't go that same brown when you put them in the worm bin. I think that worm interest is continuously skimming off the microbe layer, so to speak. Very interesting. I did a video on feeding these bins avocado. I'll put the link to it in the description. So each bin got 2 half avocados. Here's the second one. Still lots of interest and still lots of avocado in it. So this doesn't deter me from giving this bin another feeding. In fact, I've given this bin a feeding since I fed the avocados, because see how long these avocados take to thoroughly get eaten by the worms. They have to wait for the microbes to build up on those yellowish green surfaces, and then the worms eat the microbes. So they hang around, they're waiting for the microbes, but it's a slow process. So this side actually does look like the castings are accumulating. I think it's in good shape to give another feeding. So I do want those avocados, where's the second one, on the bottom, just because the avocado skins will stick around a long time. And I do want this waistband on the bottom. I hope I'm going to have enough bedding to, let me just push this a little bit into this zone. I hope I have enough bedding to cover up the feeding. There we go. I did see one flying insect come out of here, and I'm eager not to get any more. So build up some bulk on this side so that I have something to cover the feeding zone. I'm basically going to make my feeding zone wider so that I have room to cover it up. I have depth to cover it up. There we go. So that's going to be my feeding zone. So the feeding is just some of my regular food scraps. I think there are cilantro stems in here, and some ground up avocado shells, and some tea leaves, and a little bit of carrot ends. You can see a little tiny bit of orange in there. Smells like cilantro. It's being frozen, and there has been pulverized eggshell added to the feeding. There we go. So I've spread that out in a nice layer. It's not a damp feeding. You can see it hasn't made my hands super moist. So now I'm going to get some leaves, and the leaves I've brought, I had a choice. I have wet leaves and I have dry leaves, and I think I'm probably going to use a bit of each. This is not leaf mold. These are leaves that I sat in a bucket and they collected rainwater. There very well may be critter eggs on these leaves because they were outside for quite a considerable length of time in the bucket, if nothing else. And so, I'm taking a risk here. My experience has been that the bin critters that come in with leaves, whether it be a slug or something, tends to stay in the bin. So I've given it some leaves in my indoor bin. I'm just going to now take the old vermicompost and make a soft layer over that. The worms will get into that feeding and the leaves right away, because those avocados, obviously there was a huge crowd at the avocados, and I think the other worms are eager to find some new fresh food. Don't think there was enough food in this bin for the number of worms, and I'm just tucking in some of the larger elements that I see hanging on the top, and then I'm going to tuck in some of the worms that are getting a little bit angry and starting to climb the walls. All right, that's Eat My Shorts for today. Thanks everyone. Bye for now.